Before we get started, I just wanted to give a quick reminder that Black Friday football boot deals are happening right now. I posted a video about the best sales about 2 days ago. You can go and watch that, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the Black Friday deals page on my website, where all of the best deals with all of the coupon codes that you need are already there in one place. So if you're looking to get a great deal on some new boots, first link down below. Also get 15% off at puregripsocks.com with coupon code BLACK15. Also linked down below. Now inside this box, I have what can only be described as a pair of dream football boots, and that's because they're by a company called Dream Pairs. With that said, if these are the boots that you're dreaming about, then you're probably having nightmares. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Dream Pairs 160741-M, the cheapest pair of men's football boots on Amazon. 160471. I'm not sure if I got that right. People use Amazon for a variety of different things these days, but for me personally, I usually use it when I'm looking for something that I want, but I don't want to go to the store and I want it as cheap as possible. Football boots is typically not something that I use Amazon for, and you probably shouldn't either, but out of curiosity, I wanted to see what was available, specifically what I could get for as little money as possible. And on Amazon.ca, because I do live in Canada, these are available for $33.99, which is roughly equivalent to $26 USD. So basically what we're gonna do in this video is determine whether or not the cheapest football boots available on Amazon are actually worth it. Yes, they're cheap, but are they any good? The results may surprise you. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying this video and perhaps want to see more reviews of weird and or cheap and or just unusual football boots on the channel, don't forget to support this one with a like, and I'll try to make that happen. And if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel already and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So first things first, let's talk about the brand. What is Dream Pairs as it's written across the side of the boot? Well, if you look at the logo, it's kind of just a square inside of a square. It kind of looks like the @ symbol. It kind of looks like the Umbro logo if you're squinting a little bit too hard, but it is its own brand. It's not a counterfeit product, but there are definitely some copycat elements to it, which we'll get to in just a second. And that's something you have to note with Amazon is technically you're not allowed to sell counterfeit products on Amazon, and this is not a counterfeit product. Dream Pairs is its own brand with its own website. And in order for me to give a proper technical evaluation of the Dream Pairs 160471-M, I figured it was only right that we go to the website and read exactly what these are all about. Dream Pairs shoe is designed to give you the grip and control you need when playing on a soft or damp field. Constructed with a supple, lightweight upper, that's a bit of a stretch. The shoe is equipped with a padded and a cushioned collar, it doesn't have a collar at all, for added support, and a fold-over tongue to keep the laces secure and flat for a clean striking surface. This boot does not have a fold-over tongue. A great and comfortable design, this sneaker, they keep calling it a sneaker for some reason, features an extremely lightweight design, I'm not sure that it's actually that lightweight, as well as a strong grip outsole for easy movement and traction on the field. The shoe also has a breathable, supple upper, more with the supple upper again, design, and is equipped with a fold-over tongue to keep the laces secure when striking. It literally says the same thing in the second paragraph. And then finally it says, many different colors to choose from. The 160471-M sneakers come with a padded collar and cushioned insole for added support. Choose from a variety of different color combinations, from silver and orange to navy and green. How could you not buy a pair after that? Getting back to reality, however, the Dream Pairs football boot is very clearly a budget option, both in terms of price as well as the way that it looks. But I will admit, considering the price especially, the build quality, aside from some cheaper materials used, is pretty exceptional. Look at all the stitching, it's perfectly aligned, everything is put together extremely nice. There's some intricacy in terms of details that they've included that are completely useless here, but it's very well finished off. The heel liner is perfectly smooth, everything is constructed nice, every edge is cut properly, the quality of the plastic in the sole plate is surprisingly good. It even has rivets at the tip of the toe as well as the back of the heel. So in terms of what you get for the money, while the overall materials used aren't fantastic, the build quality is kind of impressive. As for the upper, it's pretty much the material you would expect to find on a cheap pair of football boots, but it's kind of on the upper end in terms of quality of cheap football boots, if that makes any sense. The material is a combination of like a foam base and like a firmer plastic top layer. It even has a little bit of micro texturing, and then of course there's stitching, kind of a traditional layout through the forefoot for the sake of some additional reinforcement, as well as somewhat of a design element here with the neon yellow stitches through the midfoot. Nonetheless, the touch on the ball is, it works. You can feel the ball when you make contact with it, but it's far from premium in any way whatsoever. This is going to be on par with a lot of Walmart boots, I guess is the best comparison that I can make in terms of overall quality of touch, but they're definitely not unwearable and nowhere near as bad as I was expecting them to be. What is funny though is the breathability aspect that they touted in some of the tech specs, where you'll notice if you look really closely, there are perforations throughout the upper all over the place where it's backed by a solid nylon liner and a solid heel liner anyway, so there's not really any air that's going to get through those little holes, so they're completely unnecessary in that regard. And then this vent right here that's supposed to be a mesh vent, if we do a little bit of investigation and you just look on the other side, it is a solid synthetic leather heel liner. So there's absolutely no air that's going to be able to pass through this. It's pretty much just there to trick people into thinking that it's a vent. And then of course they went with more of a mesh in this pretty cool hex pattern on the heel area where there is an actual internal plastic heel counter. And again, the quality and construction of this boot I'm really impressed with. I've reviewed a number of counterfeit football boots on this channel, and in comparison to pretty much every counterfeit boot that I've brought in, this is actually constructed and designed to be worn, where counterfeit stuff is really just made to kind of look as close to the real thing as possible, but it's not meant to be worn. So I have to give them credit where credit is due. Considering how inexpensive these are, the build quality is decent. Moving to the middle of the upper, you're gonna find that it has a very traditional construction with a central lacing system, regular lace holes, and a standalone tongue. The tongue being made out of pretty much the same material as the rest of the upper. The only difference is the backing is in this really nice mesh. So again, they took the time to make sure that this was going to be a wearable product. The one thing I will say about the tongue is that because of this top layer of material and the way that the upper is constructed, it crinkles quite a bit when you actually tie the laces tight, and it's a little bit stiffer than it should be, especially this unnecessary extension piece, which they did advertise as a fold over tongue, but you can't fold that over. It's pretty much just there to look good. I'm not sure why that's written in the tech specs. So it's probably the worst part of the upper on the football boot. But again, what do you expect for something that costs less than $30? Moving to the rear, despite the tech specs mentioning a collar, this features a very traditional low-cut construction, the heel liner being this smooth synthetic leather. That's not the most premium, but a lot nicer than pretty much any other football boot I've seen at this price point. And then the insole is fully removable. They have included in, which I really appreciate. So if you wanted to replace the insole on your $26 football boots, the insole would probably cost more than the boots themselves, so you're probably not going to do that. Nonetheless, you can see that the insole has a mesh liner on top. It has the size as well as the Dream Pairs logo, and it's made from a single layer of this white foam with some perforations. It's decent, it's on the cheap side, but again, kind of what you'd expect. Which brings us to the Soleplate end stud pattern, where I think the quality is actually pretty decent. We'll get into that in just a second, but there's a reason why it's pretty decent, and that's because it's not necessarily the most original design. If I grab these, the Adidas X16.1, for those that remember this boot, the same Soleplate was also featured on the X17 generation, and you put these two side by side, again, not an exact copy. There are some very subtle differences in terms of what they changed around, but it's pretty clear where the inspiration came from. Visually, the Soleplate and studs look fantastic. This is something that I would expect from a big brand in terms of the finishing quality, but it's the cheap kind of plastic that you find on really cheap and or counterfeit football boots, where when you go to flex it, yes, the forefoot flexes, but even though it has this kind of ribbing through the heel and midfoot, it folds in half like a banana. It has no real structure to it, which doesn't make this boot unwearable, but that's something that you don't necessarily want from your football boots. But again, they're less than $30, so what can you expect? As far as the stud pattern is concerned, they've pretty much just ripped it off of the X. It's very, very similar. There are some minor differences in terms of the specific shape of the stud, but in terms of the traction provided, It's an Adidas stud pattern, and if it worked on an Adidas boot, it's gonna work on these. I also do like the fact that they did rivet in the sole plate at the toe box and heel area. So technically, if you wanted to only spend $26 on a pair of football boots and you wanted them to last as long as possible, I think these are gonna be pretty durable. Which brings us to the weight, where Dream Pairs on their own website did describe this sneaker as being super light, and as you'd expect, it's not that light, but considering what type of football boot this is, especially visually, it's lighter than you'd expect them to be. So in a size 9.5 US, you can see that they weigh in at 8.85 ounces, the equivalent of 251 grams. So they are still hitting the 8-ounce mark, which is a weight range that you can find some top-end models from big brands at. So I expected these to be closer to 10, 11 ounces, but they're significantly lighter than that. They're not gonna blow you away, but again, they're $26. So here are the most affordable football boots on feet, paired with the most affordable grip socks, which are Pure Grip socks that I have here in neon yellow, available now at puregripsocks.com with an extra discount for Black Friday for a limited time. Link in the description if you're interested in some of those. Nonetheless, as you can pretty clearly see on feet, this is a very generic shape for a football boot in that there's lots of volume and lots of width, where with the laces tied tight, I think you can pretty clearly see that this is pretty cheap in a lot of ways and certainly not that comparable to some of the more legit brands that are out there, or at least the more notable brands. Because I think the build quality of this boot is quite good, but the shape is very off. It's just way too wide, there's too much volume, and it's wide through the heel, the midfoot, the toe box. It doesn't really, I don't know who these are made for, I guess is the best way to put it. They don't feel uncomfortable in any way at all, but they're also not the most secure. There's definitely some sloppiness just because there's so much extra space inside of the boots, even with the laces tied tight, and you can see I have to choke them pretty hard. The one thing that I will say is that if I were wearing a half a size smaller, they would probably fit a little bit better, but the shape definitely is just wider than it should be. These are a size 9.5 US, which is what I ordered. Couldn't try them on beforehand. I figured they'd be okay. That is my normal size, but they definitely run at least half a size big. So going down half a size probably would not be a bad idea if you're looking to order a pair of Dream Pairs football boots on Amazon, which I'm not so sure that you should do. So in conclusion, is the Dream Pairs 160471-M worth the $26 price tag? And to my surprise, I think the answer to that question is yes. But keep in mind that that recommendation is very specific to somebody on a budget of roughly $26, because if you compare this to even the cheap takedown models from big brands like Nike, Adidas, and Puma, they're simply not as good. You'd be better off spending a little bit more to get something like that. But out of all the football boots that I've ever tried in the sub $30 range, this is far and away the best one in terms of materials used. Certainly in terms of build quality, the fit could definitely be better, but that's almost always the case with boots at this price point. But if you're looking for really cheap boots that function as football boots without destroying your feet, these do that. Hopefully I don't dream about them. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. If you have any questions or any suggestions for other content you'd like to see on the channel, feel free to leave all of that down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.